Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. Get the microphone a little closer there. I'm Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, your host. For episode 200, holy shit. Episode 200, very, very exciting episode for us. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, but first, let's introduce the co-host for this special occasion. You know him, you love him, Mr. Jason Winter. Where is your camera?
What do you mean, where's my camera? What do you mean?
Your camera isn't on your solo shot. Here, let me...
Well, it's not my fault. It was right there. It was right where I was.
it was because I sent you guys that file before the show.
Great start.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
We have an outtake for episode 300.
There we go. There's Jason Winter. It's because I minimized the windows to send you an audio file before we started.
Are we still going? Are we live?
We're live. Just go for it. It's episode 200, baby. I don't care.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, sir.
I got my festive shirt and everything. Look at this.
You do. Can you turn your mic down just a touch, please?
I have no idea if I can. I told you before the show, I'm like, how do I sound? You're like, oh.
You sounded great. Also on the line for episode 200, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Zach Sharps.
I think the myth is my legs, but you know how that goes.
That is true. That is true. Nobody has seen Zach's legs.
Nope.
Nobody. We think he might be a robot, but 200 episodes, guys. So the first episode aired on January 4th, 2012. And I remember it distinctly. Luis, the site owner, and I were just kind of chatting about shows and stuff, and I said, well, let's do a podcast. Have you guys ever done a podcast? Because all I did at that time for the site was First Looks, exclusively. I mean, that was it. I didn't write. I didn't do anything. I was a freelancer. I guess technically I didn't even work for MMOBomb. I was freelanced and just did First Looks. And so he said, hey, let's try something else. All right, we'll try a podcast. And we didn't expect it to go anywhere. And here we are. I know the math doesn't add up. 200 episodes should not be 4.5 years later if it's a weekly show. But, things happen. And there was all kinds of movement in those years. But here we are, 200 episodes, Jason. And you've been around for a little over half of those, or
close to 2/3. My first one was like 64, 65, something like that. So
yeah, Zach, you've been here for about a third of them now at this point. I think the first time I asked you to be on the cast was sometime last year, sometime in 2015. So that puts you at about 40 episodes ish.
I know I was around for episode 150, but I think it was like 120 or something like that when I started. So
yeah, doing good. Obviously,
when was your first episode, Mike?
Episode 1. Episode 1. And it's funny because Jason and you and I were talking. Here, let me just hit the news bump so we can just throw that. Our first topic today is the free-to-play cast. We're going to reminisce a little bit with our audience. So here comes the news. All right, there's the news bump. Done. Out of the way.
God, it's like we know how to do this now.
Yeah, 200 episodes in, we finally figured this shit out. It's funny, Jason and I were talking about the first episode, and first we had to figure out, when it was, because for some reason our YouTube playlist only goes back to 23, even though the previous 22 episodes are on the channel, they're not in the playlist for some reason. So I'll have to fix that. But so we found it. We're like, oh, wow, that was a while ago. And then we start listening to it. And then there's me just cringing. I'm like, oh, my God, this is so awful. Why did people listen to this? This is so bad. I wouldn't have listened to this. Listen to that audio. Oh, my God. I had like an $8 USB headset. I had a trial version of Pamela to record Skype calls. I mean, it was awful. I didn't have any mixing or editing equipment or, the mixer or the type of mics that I use now and Audacity and Audio Fix. None of that happened. And so I'm listening to it just cringing, Zach. And then Jason, you went through it on the content side of things. Found it just as cringeworthy, I bet.
Oh, because we've been doing these shows and we've been writing columns and do all that sort of thing, and we make our predictions, we say things about this or that, and we never come back to them later.
Right.
So I'm going to come back to some of these now.
Well, we come back to them occasionally. Like I do remember I had AKA Mike B, very excellent dude. Jason, you and I have known him for quite some time. AKA Mike B came and did an episode for me as a personal favor, much appreciated as always. with Brim, myself, and aka Mike B. And at that point, we made the prediction SWTOR was going to go free to play. And that was before any of their financials and stuff had come out indicating that this is probably going to go free to play. Within a few more months, it did go free to play. I reached out, got aka Mike B to come back on the show for that, and we had a blast there. And we've revisited some of ours too, but you picked out some specifics from episode 1, and we're going to see how well. I mean, I'm the only one here. Brim, unfortunately, has moved on as far as gaming goes. He's got a whole weightlifting thing that he's got going for him and his new wife, and love him to death. He just doesn't game anymore, so it doesn't really make a sense to have him on the show. Who else was on that first show? Sajiro. Again, moved on to become an adult, got married, had a kid.
Which shows that you and I haven't.
Yeah, hey, when I started, I was married and had kids. So really, I'm the only one that's going to get held accountable. But bear in mind that these predictions were not just mine; they were 2 other previous cast hosts too.
So don't worry, I've got it all notified.
All right, go ahead.
He's already making excuses, so these.
I am. Well, here's the thing, Zach. I don't even know what he's going to say. I have an idea of one just because we briefly touched on it in chat, but that's it. Go ahead, Jason.
So the first news story, the very first news story ever on MMO on the Free to Play cast was for Dragona Online.
That was the first news thing?
That was the first news story. Now, that is a game that I first heard about yesterday. When I was like, what? Dragona Online? What the hell is this? Okay, fine. This is our first story. Great. Of course, you launch right in. You just, within about a minute, you're making a dragon penis joke.
Of course.
First thing you did. Because apparently you could change different parts of your body to be different parts of dragons.
Yes.
You said, how are dragons endowed or something like that. So you go right for the penis. Well, the time to penis on free-to-play cast was like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so
and the thumbnail had boobs on it, I believe. So
yeah,
it was, if we're going to
to
do a podcast, let's clickbait the shit out of it.
Exactly. Now, Brim actually was pretty prescient here. He said, I see this being very popular in Asia, but I don't think it'll take off in the U.S. at all. Which, again, considering I never heard of it, probably pretty accurate there.
Zach, you're shaking your head. So
I never heard of it either until this now.
We have such great topics. Like after going through all the topics, it's like these are the sort of things where we would like say, "We're not doing the cast this week. There's no news."
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. Jason said that, and it's like I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I mean, because there's been, I think in the last year we've skipped maybe 4 to 5 weeks, not counting holiday stuff, but maybe 4 shows total. And it was really most of those, besides personal schedules with one of the hosts or 2 of the hosts, were because there was shit going on, and it's just like we're not going to talk for an hour about absolute garbage. But you guys we didn't care. Well, we didn't care. We were like, nobody's going to listen to this. It'll do like 8 episodes, and then we'll cancel it because it's getting like 400 views.
So Sajiro had an issue with Dragona Online. He said he didn't like how the cash shop worked.
My face is beat red right now. Like I'm looking at my camera shot, and I'm like, all the blood must be in my head right now,
or in your dragon penis.
I'm like trying to get a light here just to make me look not as red.
So Sajiro didn't like how the cash shop worked. Something about having to. He might have been talking about Forsaken World, which was like apparently another Perfect World game. But he said you have to go into the website to buy stuff, and he wanted it all in game. And you were like, yeah, that's a pretty unique view on that. It's like, oh my god, buying stuff in the game. What free to play game does that?
This shit didn't exist then. There was like 8 free-to-play games, guys. Give us a little
revolutionary.
And then as you got to the end of this one, when we were talking about whether you thought it was interesting or not, your best quote was, "I'm kind of sick of fantasy games." 2 months later, Rift launched.
Yep.
Did you ever play that? You ever play that, Mike?
I played Rift at launch.
What about Final Fantasy 14? You ever play that game?
I still play it every day.
So don't give me the I'm sick of fantasy game shit. Next time one comes up, that is not a valid excuse for you.
Just today, I've logged into Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, and Revelation Online. Just today.
In his defense, though, everyone was feeling that back then, but they completely became hypocrites in 2 months. So I mean,
that's true.
Well, and also because like 2 weeks before this was recorded, SWTOR had just come out, so like everyone was talking about playing that instead of the other games that they were doing before. So
yeah, I think we spent a great deal of that first free-to-play cast talking about SWTOR, which was sub-based at the time.
Didn't talk about it a ton. Just brought it up a couple times. Like, hey, and they were like, hey, have you played this game lately? Like, no, I'm playing Soldier.
Right.
So, so the second game you guys talked about was Rusty
Oh my
Hearts.
God, that's not it. Okay, go ahead.
No, game you talked about
wait. Rusty Hearts was pretty big at the time, though.
it's probably the biggest.
Rusty Hearts had its day.
All right.
I at least know what Rusty Hearts is, so
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, that'll be one. Actually, I only heard of this is the only game of the 3 they talked about that I've heard of. So okay, so the big deal with Rusty Hearts was they put their new character in the cash shop, and you guys were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, we were pissed.
You specifically asked, "Is this pay to win?"
Yeah.
They're putting a new character in the cash shop.
Yeah, we were pissed. We were pissed.
Oh, but then here's your redemption, man. Because during that you said, here's your quote: "Free to play is where the industry's heading. There's going to come a time in a couple of years where the subscription-based model just doesn't exist anymore." So,
I got one right. It was a pretty big one, and I got it in January of 2012.
Is it really right though? Because one of the largest free to play games. Some of them
you're really
have
going to
subs.
argue because there's like 4
the
games.
subs-
No, we're not talking about sub options. We were talking about strictly a World of Warcraft, a Final Fantasy, stuff like that.
Okay.
Come
No,
on.
but
You can't take that one away from me, Zach, you big mean bastard.
here was the great
But
exchange,
WoW and Final Fantasy.
great exchange between you guys, where you kind of lose all your cred for predicting the future.
Oh, shit.
Sajiro says, I want to buy a level in a cash shop. You get stuck on a level, you get behind your friends. I want to be able to buy 2 or 3 levels.
Hated this idea.
Yeah, because here's I'm going to try to exactly get your voice inflection on this. After he says that, you're going, oh, I couldn't disagree more on that one.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you said it.
Yep.
And Brim was like, let's say 70 is the max level. I would have a hard time with anybody buying over level 30. Maybe 20 or 30 I could see.
Yeah, now look at the industry.
Yeah, everybody does.
Max level characters, or at least, like max level minus 10 in a lot of cases, minus 5, something like that. It's a standard now. And I hate it, but I do buy them, so I can't, I'm a hypocrite on that front.
then you were kind of right again a little later in that. You said,
shit, what'd I say?
Said it's good. It's got to be reined in a little bit, or we're going to end up with a whole slew of games where there's just no player base. There's too many choices for a person to make. Just talking in general about the free-to-play environment. And I kind of think that's about true. I think that's one of the reasons new games, why people get so hyped for a new game and they quit it after, 3 hours because there's something else I can play. So why,
and we've noticed it over the last year or so with specific genres, even not just the industry as a whole. It's, MOBA's had its "oh my god, please stop," and now card games seem to be having their "oh my god, please stop" moments. We're going to talk about a card game a little later. So it's oh my god. So I
just want to get the third game, by the way, was about Command and Conquer Tiberium Alliances, a browser-based RTS.
Oh shit, a free-to-play Command and Conquer game. I forgot that even existed.
Yeah.
It existed for like a day too. It was shut down really fast. I actually don't, if I remember right, that one never made it out of development.
Wasn't that the one that was shown at E3 or whatever one year and it just never released?
Yeah, I don't think it ever came out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look it up real quick here, but I don't think it actually made it out. Where here's Tiberium Alliances.
Yeah, I remember watching E3 one year, and I remember like an RTS, and I believe it was Command and Conquer, but I never heard anything after that. So.
Well, here it is on our own site, so let me pull that up right here. All right, that's going to take a second. So, yeah.
You did also say that you thought that people thought that maybe EA was destroying the Command and Conquer license. But no, that wasn't true at all, was it?
No, I definitely thought that they were.
No, I'm saying, how did it actually turn out?
Right. So,
and then you also later on said you didn't know if the Secret World would retain its subscription. So there you go. Good on that.
Yeah, and they shortly after that, months later, decided not to.
After it came out, but right.
And made it buy to play. So I didn't do too bad then. I didn't do too badly there.
I'm not that surprised. I thought it was going to be really terrible. Like he's going to say World of Warcraft's going to shut down or something.
Oh, God.
No. Brim gave us da-bomb. He said it just exactly in this way. I'm going to give a da-bomb to a game called Terra Online. Have you guys ever heard of that one? And you were excited about it. You said, "Ooh, I've read some of this. Is it good? Is this going to be free to play? Do we know this yet?"
Yeah, we didn't at the time. We didn't, and it wasn't. And
Very successful, though.
It wasn't right away.
Yeah. Wow, apparently Tiberium Alliances is still a thing.
Wow.
I got a website here, tiberiumalliances.com.
Dude, you should do a first look.
I can create an account here. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that one. I'm gonna go ahead and give that one the big pass. Zach, you've been here, so you've been here since you were here when Spunkify was, right?
No, I came right after.
Right
Spotify.
after. Okay, so you kind of came like right at the same time I came back to the site.
Yeah.
So what are some of your free to play cast memories or moments on air, off the air, behind the scenes, whatever?
I would have to say the no legs thing. I don't remember still where exactly that came from.
A
I think
viewer.
it was Jason.
No.
Oh wait, no, I was right. It
viewer.
was a viewer. Okay, and then we just kept it going and going and going. Yeah, I mean that's probably it. Plus my many Skyforge and Arcade rants. Although that could be the same thing could be true with free to play weekly. But
I think you are the most Black Desert-y ranty guy on a free-to-play show.
Too.
I think that's funny.
Too. Yep.
That every time you rant, it's normally Black Desert Online, which isn't free-to-play.
It triggers me, man.
That reminds me of a previous host and one of their things. That was Havoc, who is my in real life brother. Havoc used to be one of the guests or the hosts on the show occasionally, very rarely, because all he played was World of Warcraft. That was it. That's a
great guy to have on a free-to-play podcast.
And so, but the thing is, my brother and I, we're very funny together, and so I said, you just come and do it, and if people don't like you talking about World of Warcraft, you don't have to do it anymore. But I thought it'd be very comedic to have him on, and it was, because he would turn a rant. I remember his biggest rant was on daily quests in World of Warcraft. At that time, I think it was Mists of Pandaria, maybe, that had really just beaten us to death with daily quests in World of Warcraft. And we were talking about another free-to-play game, and he went off, find the episode, Havoc's rant on dailies, and his rants in general. It was only on maybe like 10 shows or so, but his rants are absolutely worth listening to. Also... have you ever guys go through the YouTube channel once in a while, go through the videos list, because what you'll find like shows where we were like, well, let's try a show like this, and it makes it like 6 episodes, okay, and then it just it doesn't catch on. It's not doing exactly what we want it to do. It's lukewarm reception, so we move on and try something else. That's the name of the game in what we do here. There was a Brick Force show at one time. Do you guys know that?
I think I remember that. I think I remember seeing that on the...
And we talked about it on the free-to-play cast like crazy. It was Sajiro Selfius, who's another in-real-life friend of mine, and myself playing Brick Force. And I forget what Sajiro called it. He was the producer on it. It was Brick Force with Friends, or I don't know, something goofy. And we ended up discovering, like, we weren't big Minecraft guys at the time, but apparently there's, or Team Fortress guys or anything like that. But you guys know what Spliff is?
No.
Okay.
No.
So apparently that was a game where you would destroy the floor. It was if Jason and I were running around in Minecraft, destroying the floor underneath each other and just, basically trolling each other. So we started doing that in Brick Force, and it was hysterical. There's a video of it on the YouTube channel. It's like half an hour, and I've watched it a dozen times, and we talked about it on the free-to-play cast. Go watch it, because what it turned into is we had our own server, and it was just the 3 of us, but we left it unlocked. And so anytime somebody would come in, it was the countdown to when they would leave. Because the second they spawned in, we started destroying the floor under them. Now, in Brick Force, you could build a floor of a certain depth, but it was usually only between 1 and 5 units. So we had it set to 1. So if you blew the floor out from under Zach, he just fell forever until he died and respawned back on the map. Go watch the video. One of the greatest free-to-play moments of a long time. Now, as far as the cast itself, I got 2 for you guys. Okay. I got 2. One is, and I've talked about this before, Brim, great guy. Before he was married to his now wife, they were dating. They were engaged, and before that, they were dating. They were dating at the time Star Wars The Old Republic was an active thing that we played as a group and raided and things like this. So this was like right when it launched. We're doing, Eternity Vault. That's the first raid, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
I think so.
Yeah. Or the first operation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we're playing this. He told a story on one free-to-play cast, and I have searched for the episode number just for my own reference for so long, I can't find it. So, viewer, if you know what episode this is, please put it in the comments. But he tells this story about how he's sitting at his computer or at his laptop playing, and there's some shelves above the desk that he's playing on, and there's some books up there. Now, his girlfriend, now wife, at that time was still in school and was studying to get her degree and everything. And that's what these books were up there. And he tells this story about getting so angry at Star Wars The Old Republic while we're playing it that he starts spiking his laptop and ends up breaking his laptop. Now, there's single people, money's tight, she's in school, that type of deal. We've all been there when you're younger and trying to finish off school. And so now he's got to explain to his girlfriend why his laptop is broken and he needs to get a new one without saying, I broke my laptop because a game made me fucking angry. So he makes up this story and he breaks the shelf above the desk. Or when he was banging, it knocked it down. I don't remember which. And so he told her that he needed a new laptop and she should be okay because technically she owes him a new laptop because her books fell off of the shelf and broke his laptop. And so he told this story on the show, like under the auspices of confidentiality. You will never find out my real first name or her name. To this day, I don't know if she knows. To this day, I still don't know if she knows that's the case. The other great moment was not even one that happened on a show that you can watch. There was a show with, again, Brim and myself, and also Domina, my real-life wife. And the three of us were on it. And a lot of fun things happen behind the scenes before we even start. Or sometimes if we start a recording, we end up stopping it, and you don't hear it, but we have the recording for posterity's sake. And this is one of those moments. Brim's fiance, wife, girlfriend, I don't want to know what she was at the time. I assume girlfriend or fiance, is talking in the background as we're doing our audio checks. And I said, Brim, have your conversation with I almost said her name, with your girl, and then let me know when you're done because we can hear her. We can hear her talking. And he's, okay, no problem. I'll let you know. It should just be a minute or two. And we hear him set his headphones down, and we hear him walk away. And we hear portions of a conversation that should have been muted. It just should have been muted. And his girlfriend's talking about her stomach being upset or something like that. And so we hear Brim say, well, have you pooped recently? And Domina and I are sitting on the headsets dying because we're like, this is ridiculous. Why didn't you mute this shit? And he's like, yeah, so have you pooped recently? And like they have this conversation about whether or not his girlfriend has taken a shit in the recent time. So he comes back, we're dying, Domina and I are dying. We explain the whole thing to him, now he's dying, and now it's time to record. So I start the show in the way I've started every show since episode 1. Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Free-to-Play cast. It's the same thing, just like the same sign-off. There's only one episode that has a different sign-off than the other ones that I've ever been on. And nobody knows what's about to happen. But this is the original intro to that show. The woman you will hear in the clip, it's only like 8 or 9 seconds of audio, is my real-life wife, Domina. If you hear the other guy, it's Brim. I don't know if you will. And I apologize, again, for the audio quality. This is a very early free-to-play cast. There wasn't much audio cleaning going on at those times. So I'm just going to play this for the viewers. Now, you two guys have heard this before the show, so let me play this. Here we go.
Hello, Internet, and have you pooped lately?
You asshole!
Let me stop the recording.
That is my wife calling me an asshole and telling me she fucking hates me because of my pooped recently intro. Lots of fun stuff going on behind the free-to-play cast. It's been a pleasure. It really has. And I'm looking forward to 200 more. It is a lot of fun being able to not only come on here and express opinions, Zach, but yes, we work for an MMO website, but that has in no way inhibited us from coming on this show and saying, this is really good, and this is why I like it, and this is frickin' terrible, and this is why I hate it, which is the best thing that I love about the free-to-play cast, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, Skyforge actually offered me like some sort of partnership after I trashed their game into the ground. So I mean, it is what it is. That's one of the things I've always liked about the podcast. Is I can just come on here and just talk about random stuff with you guys and not really hold back at all. That's what I really was hoping for when I initially joined MMO Bomb, is I wouldn't have to hold back or anything like that. And I haven't had to. I've never been asked to, and it's been great.
Whereas I try to hold back more because I know what an ass I can be.
Jeez, Jason, when I think about it, we've been friends for years now. Like, years.
Oh, when did you start on Tweemo? That was like shortly after you were doing this stuff, right?
Yeah, there was a period of time when I was originally at MMO Bomb that I was doing free-to-play at MMO Bomb and anything else at Gamebreaker. I was doing both at the same time. And then I left MMO Bomb entirely and became exclusively Gamebreaker until 2 years ago when the owner reached out and said, "Hey, would you consider coming back?"
I actually placed you at MMO Bomb. Like I took your one of your spots basically.
Oh, on the cast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we were doing Tweemo around that time too, so we've been together on various sites for 3 to 4 years now.
Yeah. A few months after you would have started with MMO Bombs. I think it was like around mid 2012 or so. Yeah.
Wow. Well, 200 episodes, gang. Let us know your favorite moments if you have one in the comments below. And if you know the episode that Brim tells that laptop story on so that I can remember the exact story, not portions of it, throw it in the links below. Again, we could not have possibly made it 200 episodes without, obviously, MMO Bomb, our wide plethora of hosts throughout the years, including members that are no longer here, Spunkify and Sajiro and Havoc, and these are guys that I can get on the show occasionally, but they're just not into gaming anymore to have them on all the time. But a huge thank you to all of them, and of course, all of you for watching. It wouldn't be a show if there was nobody to watch it. So 200 episodes is all because of you. Now, getting on to real news before we finish up with the bombs and everything on episode 200 here. Very briefly, Turtle Rock Studios no longer involved in the development of Evolve. Kind of surprising, Jason, immediately after they make a free-to-play transition.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did the free-to-play transition about 4 months ago where they weren't charging anything for anything. So they just, wanted to it seemed like they just wanted to test things out. You figure if you're going to do that for like 3 months or so, that means you've probably got some time. You got, you're given the time and the money to figure things out from your publisher and whatnot. Then just a month ago, they said, all right, now we're going to put in some real money transactions. Now we're testing this stuff out. Everything seemed to be going pretty well. They had like 2 million people, they said, that signed on after the free-to-play. So everything going just fine. And then this week, 2 weeks ago, they're like, all right, we're done. We're not working on it anymore.
Yeah, really bizarre. Like, it seemed like they had a good plan going, Zach, since they weren't, historically a free-to-play company, and they were kind of testing the waters on what they could do, and seemed like they had a good plan going. We were all behind it from day one, saying, you know what, I'm really impressed just the way they're doing this. They're taking it slow, nothing in the cash shop, then this is the way we're going to monetize. Then they made some changes to it, and whether or not we would have liked the final result, who knows, but now Evolve is out. Turtle Rock is out, which leaves Evolve strictly in the hands of 2K Studios. Where do you think the title ends up, Zach?
Well, you could say it evolved to stage 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's going to eventually shut down in a few months, quite honestly, because if you look on Steam, there's no one playing it hardly. Maybe a couple hundred people, 200 people, 300, somewhere around there, I would guess. And it's sad because they originally didn't do the full free-to-play model with the cash shop and everything initially, because they didn't want to sort of, open the floodgates of a bunch of money and not get things tweaked in time. They wanted to make sure the product was ready before they even started bringing in revenue. And then even then, they still said that they wanted to only do it partially. So they had the right idea of how to go into it. But at the same time, 2K's not doing great lately. There's a lot of rumors that even with Mafia 3, they caused a lot of issues with that game, which would make
also
sense
though
because
the
it's all filler.
highest selling game that they've had there for opening week, I think.
Which causes issues because now reviewers are like, well, our reviews obviously don't matter because we said that this game was definitely not a buy, but everyone bought it. So 2K is going through some rough spots right now, and it's really one of those things where hopefully they recover and hopefully everything is great and they finally get their crap together. But it could be a interesting next couple of years for them and to see how they evolve. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But I don't see Evolve being around for, and I could see it shutting down quite honestly in Q1 of next year at the latest.
Yeah, and they're playing with the numbers here again, Jason. They're doing what the free-to-play companies do. 2K Games shipped more than 4.5 million copies of Mafia 3 during week 1, making it the fastest-selling game in 2K's history. But that's shipped. That's units shipped to retailers, not sold to players. So whatever.
Yeah, still probably a few million is probably not bad. But...
Yeah. And but 2K's kind of been on that line forever. God, I just remember how good the 2K sports games were.
Yep,
particularly like for the Dreamcast.
On Dreamcast.
Oh, those were some great sports. NFL 2K, NHL 2K. I wasn't too big into NBA or MLB 2K. No, it was World Series Baseball 2K, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I don't think I played their baseball.
I don't think it was MLB. I think it was World Series Baseball. Somebody will correct me.
Speaking of the World Series, what a Game 7 last night.
Oh, I know, right? I didn't care about either team, and I was glued to that game. But I tend to agree with you, Zach. I think this spells the end, at least for Evolve, very, very shortly here. I don't think it's going to go much longer.
I think it's funny that they say on the 2K blog, they say that, evaluate the possibility of bringing Stage 2 experience to consoles in the future, though right now our focus is bringing in new players and maintaining the game's audience on PC. Good luck with that when you just said you're not doing any more development on the game.
Right.
That's why everybody's going to leave. I mean,
yeah, it's really weird. Really bizarre the way it went down. What do we got left? Gwent. Gwent and the Moo Legends. So, yeah, we've posted a couple of first looks this week. First off, Gwent. Both of these games are in closed testing of various phases, by the way, so they are by no means complete in the first looks, but encourage you to check them out if you're familiar. Moo Legend really didn't do much for me. I don't know if it did much for you guys. It follows very much on the heels in the vein of Moo Online, which is going to be great for Moo Online players, including Wings, so you're all set. It's basically the same type of gameplay, the dungeon crawling type gameplay. It does it well. It's not particularly beautiful, but it is not a lesser graphically inclined game. It's just an average dungeon crawler to me. Now, again, I'm speaking strictly on very early game experience and not, am I going to play it over and over and over again at max level like I do something like Diablo 3? But I'm sure this is not being an original Moo Online guy, Zach, I would give this one like a 6 on my 1 through 10. If I was a Moo Online guy or gal, I'd probably score it a 7 or an 8 because it does improve on a lot of things that Moo Online did. There are a few little tweaks in there that I don't know if original Moo Online players are going to be all that keen with, but they do kind of standardize or bring it a little more current than Moo Online was. To me, if you loved Moo Online, then Moo Legend is definitely worth checking out to see if you're ready to switch titles. Other than that, I don't think it's going to draw like a whole new crowd into the Moo IP.
I mean, it certainly looked passable.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, I'm not really huge into ARPGs right now, especially since I just got done playing Marvel Heroes, and I played that pretty substantially over the past months. But it's one of those things where I see it being successful for the market it's trying to sort of garner, but
I agree.
At the same time, I don't see it going anything beyond that because I think that there's a lot more better ARPGs on the horizon. I can't think of what one's called, but also Lineage Eternal. I think that's going to be amazing once that eventually releases. And then there's another one as well that is, I think, currently in Korea. It looks amazing. I just cannot remember the name for the life of me. That looks like it's going to be good as well. So, yeah.
What do you think, Jason? I thought it was, a pretty solid title, and it's got a lot of attention. I mean, we've been passing out Mu Legend beta keys on the site by the thousands and thousands over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I agree with you, Zach. There's an audience there, and I think it caters to that audience nicely.
I think it's got a little more potential than Dragona Online. But maybe not a whole lot more. I mean, yeah, like I said, it looks like a lot of or it could be, you could also say it looks like it's one of those slew of games. There's just no player base because there's too many choices for a person to make. So things are still the same. 199 episodes later.
I don't think this one falls into that. I think Mu Online brings enough old school players to want to check it out that it'll have a player base.
But like you said, it's not going to be some sort of grand revelation online.
It was fun.
But yeah.
Something I don't know if I'd play it again though. Personally, I think I would gravitate towards I like dungeon crawlers, but I would gravitate towards other titles, kind of like what you were saying, Zach, that there's just other dungeon crawlers. And I think maybe that's because I just wasn't a Mu Online guy. If I was a Mu Online guy, this would probably be my go-to game for the foreseeable future for a while. So.
And honestly, seeing you play the first little bit of it too. I mean, I've read a little bit about it when I had to do the game page or some of the stuff. And you talk about getting level 25 and get to the tower of whatever it is.
Yeah.
That would be fun. But I see you going around having to kill 10 rats for 20 hours first. I'm sort of like, never mind.
I didn't like how some of that stuff, and I had like a whole list next to me while I was recording the first look itself, because there was a bunch of stuff I knew I'm not going to get to this stuff in a first look, even if I played for a while, which I don't like doing this for a first look, but sometimes I'll play to like level 20 or 30 and get to a dungeon or two and then record a first look, but that can substantially delay things. So I had a whole list of like at 25 this unlocks, at 60 this unlocks, and there's a lot of... It falls right into Jason's trap of, but the end game is very different, Zach. The end game's very different. Just get there.
Like when he tweeted me earlier today when I talked about Revelation Online, he was like, "Oh, the real game doesn't start till level 10."
No, till 10 minutes. You said you played for 5 minutes and you loved it.
Oh, okay.
I said the real game starts at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So. 10 minutes. On the flip side, I also did a first look for Gwent, which is CD Projekt Red's upcoming free-to-play card game, also in closed testing, ripped from The Witcher 3. I loved it in The Witcher 3. I love it on the free-to-play version. I did have some slight concerns on monetization, with CD Projekt Red not being, known for free-to-play stuff, just kind of like Turtle. Oh boy, that doesn't bode well for CD Projekt Red, does it?
No, that comparison, no, come on.
But I have faith in CD Projekt Red, but I had faith in Turtle Rock too. But I loved Gwent. I love the way they're monetizing it. It's exactly the way you would want them to monetize it. Treat it like a normal card game, so you're buying packs, or you can go ahead and craft your cards that you're missing, things like that. I know, Jason, you have a concern with power creep given this type of game, even though it is a very generic and standard monetization policy. I'm just going to put it out there. I loved it. I already knew how to play, but I went through the tutorial anyway, and I did a one bot match and one against a player, and I won both. So clearly I knew what I was doing. But I give it an 8.5 out of 10, maybe even a 9 out of 10. I like this type of card game more than I like something like a Hearthstone or even a Magic the Gathering on the computer. Gwent in physical life probably wouldn't do much for me. I'd just go back to Magic the Gathering. But Final Fantasy comes out tomorrow. They come out tomorrow.
It gets delayed again.
Yeah.
But no, actually,
it only got delayed for retailers. So. Amazon people got theirs on the 28th, you bastards. That's what I get for trying to support a local shop, huh?
No, I'll never do that.
Go ahead, Jason.
But no, you made like 3 or 4 mistakes in that game. I was watching. It was terrible. But anyway. But, I actually I feel a little better about the game after watching your first look. Because like I said, with the power creep, the one thing I really worried about was everyone just loading up on the huge expensive cards.
Right.
Which, I had that happen to me in when I played Witcher. And I was like, okay, fine. I just won't play this guy again until I get more stuff. Which would be something you wouldn't have in, get randomly paired with a person in the standalone game. But one thing I saw when you did deck
Deck
construction is that
builder.
there is a limit as to how many gold
Yep.
and silver cards you can play. So that makes it a little better. It's not like you can load up your deck with all legendaries, something like you would in Hearthstone. Now there are still going to be some questionable design choices because you got if I have a card that's an 8 range and a card that's a 7 range, which one am I going to play? Duh. Why would I even consider the 7 range or the 4 range if they don't have special abilities? So I still think some of that is kind of not great. I think when you don't have casting costs in a CCG, you run into issues like that with a lot of useless cards. But I guess as long as you can at least somewhat limit the upper end of the power stuff, the stuff with special abilities, it might be okay. So
Overall thoughts?
I think it'll be decent. I'll at least look at it, play around with it and see what I think after it comes out, probably.
Zach?
I think the power issue is not really that big of a concern. There's a lot of useless cards in every SCCG I've ever played, especially if you look at the meta. Pretty much 90% of the cards is completely trash. But when it comes down to it, Gwent, I believe in CG Projekt Red a lot. I still have a skeptical eye about every developer, but that being said, CG Projekt Red is amazing. The monetization, I think, is exactly what I expected. I'll throw them my $30 just because they deserve more of my money for The Witcher. And then I'll play it quite a bit because I actually held off playing Gwent initially in The Witcher 3 because I hoped it would end up being a standalone card game, especially with the trend going on with card games. So it looks like I'm rewarded in that case because it's something that I'll get to experience with a fresh eye because I only played maybe 3 or 4 rounds of Gwent when it was just in The Witcher 3. So I'm very excited for it.
Jason critiquing
Fanboy.
My,
What a
critiquing
fanboy.
my play.
I am, man. I am. I'm proud to say it.
Critiquing my play. I won. That's all that matters. All right, let's slide over to the weekly bombs. Go ahead, Zach.
I'm going to give an A-bomb to Comcast. They recently rolled out caps in my area.
Oh.
So a service that I paid for 3 years, over 3 years now, is now getting capped. So I'm having to pay $50 more for the same exact service I had for 3 years. Good job, Comcast.
Just to avoid the new cap.
Exactly. Way to treat your loyal customers fairly. It's awesome.
That sucks. Jason.
And the best part is there's no other provider in my area, so I'm stuck with them.
Oh, see, I've got 3. So whenever they try to screw each other over here, it doesn't normally pan out. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm going to give a dub bomb because it's the 200th episode to give a dub bomb to one of our most loyal viewers, Adrian87. Because when I was looking at that first podcast, he was right there in the comments. He still is here nowadays. I see he's got a bomb down below. Shows up in my stream, supports me there. So, dub bomb to Adrian for being around for the whole run.
Yeah, we got a lot of viewers like that, a lot of long-time viewers. So, dub bomb for this show, making 200 episodes. I kind of wondered if the show would even be made like when I left totally and went to Game Breaker. I didn't know if it was just going to be like, okay, that was, Burns' Magic Man thing, so we're not going to do that. So really glad to see Jason and Spunkify continue it throughout that time, and then obviously super happy to be back in the seat running my baby again.
Oh, I'll give one little behind the scenes thing. Then I'm thinking of it.
Hold on, it was a proxy to bomb to Spunkify and you, Jason.
Okay.
So
okay.
Thank
you.
All right,
I was going to say that when I first was talking with Spunkify to be on the show, he pinged me and started talking to me on Skype about 5 minutes before I had to do a Twemo. So I was talking to him. I'm like, yeah, I can do live. I can do shows. I can do recorded shows. In fact, I'm doing one right now. Like, just stop talking to me for a bit. You can watch me over on this link. So shut up, man.
From the viewers, Snarky the Snark King says, "The bomb to class advancements. I just love MMORPGs that let you advance your class in one way or another on your way to endgame. More Western releases should use class advancements in their games on top of the typical skill tree system. Why? Because it adds more build variety, keeps your class fresh, and opens up for a more unique playstyle. By the way, RIP Evolve." And speaking of class advancements, we kind of skipped over it, but we got Zach and we've got our hands for an hour or so today on Revelation Online. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we're running long, but initial thoughts?
Honestly, I think it's great. It does everything better than Blade and Soul. At least all the gripes that I have with Blade and Soul are corrected in Revelation Online. Obviously, 2 different developers, but somewhat similar combat style. The translation is terrible. There's a lot of a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed before launch. The game is more an alpha state than a closed beta state at this point.
Yeah.
I really think that they just rushed it out there to try and garner more Founders Pack purchases, which is bad in and of itself, but it is what it is. I like it, and I think that I'm definitely going to play it at launch now.
Yeah, I'm fine with the localization stuff not quite being there. I mean, but it is like really, really not there. Like game items and NPCs and cutscenes, and the most annoying part of it is that there are still certain game systems and even core menus like the video settings that are either in Chinese or sometimes in Russian. So yeah, it makes it a little challenging. I don't know. I still haven't decided if I'm going to do a first look on it in this round of testing, simply because there's just things I can't talk about because I don't read Chinese. Like this skill encyclopedia stuff, I don't even know what it does because I can't read a lick of it. So I haven't decided yet. That, and there's an awful lot of bugs. But I am enjoying the game itself. I just wish that was smoothed out so that I understood everything at the moment.
You just wish it wasn't an alpha. Beta.
Right, yeah. I wish it was in closed beta, like closed beta test 1 that started today. Jason, go ahead, take the next one.
The bomb from Adrian. Yeah, there's our guy. He says, the bomb to the free-to-play cast, and congratulations on your 200th episode. Hundreds of hours of news and entertainment. Always looking forward to your next episode. Thank you for all your work. Well, thank you, Adrian, for being there and supporting us.
Thank you. Go ahead, Zach.
Elusive X Treasure says, the bomb to Titan, the Primalist tank soul. I remade a character as this, and I've been leveling her to catch up to the hubby's Chloricon. They are ridiculous. I can pull a whole rift of my level and AoE the wave down without getting a scratch. I did a few dungeons with her, and to my annoyance, I had bouncy, rushy DPS, and in one case, the healer bolting ahead of me to pull when I was already tanking 3 groups. I figured, all right, what the hell? I took off dragging the entire instance, including a boss with me, using everything I could to get ahead, and mobbed them all. A bit of lag with notwithstanding, I stood amongst a pile of bodies, cacking to myself, and the rest of the party caught up. Bow before me, puny mortals.
Elusive X Treasure cackling while playing Rift. There's a view.
Titan nerf incoming.
Titan nerf totally incoming.
Yeah.
Nickel CM, Dub-Bomb to Tanky X. Nice game that I can just hop in and out of when I have 15 minutes to spare. I actually like the claustrophobic nature of the battlefields, as this just produces a faster and more chaotic game. All right, so somebody taking the opposite approach that I did, not liking the claustrophobic maps for tanking games.
Watch the trenches.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're going to criticize my Gwent gameplay when I win as you're lying face down in a trench multiple times.
Only once in that game.
In that video.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
All right. Hellsworth says, as for bombs, apparently A-bomb to me as I came off as cynical and grumpy when I was trying to be realistic. I'm sorry, guys. But it all comes down, it comes from the article I read. That's what the article I read, or wrote, rather. I'm sorry, guys, but this all comes down to the age and experience. Trust me, hashtag I'm not Jay Winters. And Dub-Bomb for Warframe's patch, the index preview. I'm a big fan, and I honestly encourage every developer out there, especially those that are making MMORPGs, take a good hard look at digital extremes for their upfrontness and community contact, not only because they deserve it, but also because we can all be grumpy and cynical, or even worse at times. But I thought Warframe was going to be destroyed when Perfect World bought their 4% share or whatever. The sky was falling. Everything was awful.
Go ahead, Zach.
Bezad BZ says, the bomb for all the people that suffered through the storyline of the Jedi Consoler and Sortor after 4 years. Consular, my bad. Okay.
Everybody gets criticized there. It's the trenches and this and your pronunciation.
Exactly. Tomato. It's
the
okay.
Jedi Consoler.
The Jedi Tomato.
Give you a big hug. That's
all Jedis are. They're
May the Force be with you.
People.
Here's a hug, buddy.
Exactly.
She broke up with you. There's plenty of fish in the sea.
Exactly. I like to shock Jedis, okay? It's okay. After 4 years, I finally had enough courage to go through the most boring storyline of Sortor. Hashtag never again. This is why I don't play Jedi. This shock people. It's great.
Karulai or Cerulai. I don't know how you would pronounce that one. But...
Oh, now the pronunciation.
Hey, it's a
Yeah.
name.
How dare
it's a
you.
name.
Jeez.
Look at the number of vowels there. Dub bomb to Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood cinematic trailer. It was a pretty badass trailer. Derplander has grown so big. I know, we're so proud of the little guy. Been a good week, so can't really dole out an A-bomb. Well, hell, then that is definitely a good week if you got nothing to complain about. And when you think about it, we're sitting here complaining about or praising video games. So all in all, our lives can't be that bad. So count your blessings. Sometimes it's easy to forget how many you have. Go ahead, Jason.
Sokapek says a huge dub bomb to Tree of Savior. First free-to-play MMO that has really hooked me in a long time. It's super buggy. The mouse controls are broken. It's a great endorsement here. I have to put down my controller every time I want to use my inventory, and the transitions are really bad. For some reason, despite all the issues, I'm having a blast. It feels great to kill stuff using a controller at least, and that's what matters. Great game. Check it out. Now, I'm actually going to be playing this in a little bit. My girlfriend was a big Raiden Rock Online fan, and this is supposed to be similar to that, so we're going to be jumping into it pretty soon. So I'll be able to give my own impressions of how broken it is.
I'm glad they fixed the controller support that I was worried about in closed beta. Good job. Good job.
I love that sentence. First free-to-play MMO that has really hooked me in a long time. It's super buggy. The mouse controls are broken. I have to put down my controller every time I want to use inventory, and the translations are awful. But for some reason, I'm having a blast. That is the
What if
best.
it was a good game? What would you think of this if nothing was wrong with that?
Right?
It's going to be giving me orgasms.
Suckerpacks, that is the best bomb ever. I'm sick of fantasy games. When does Rift come out? Question of the week last week. What are your thoughts on Smite Tactics? Nicole CM for the question of the week says, Smite Tactics sounds interesting. I haven't played any of the Smite IP before, so I hope it's a game I can pick up and enjoy without knowing any of the lore beyond the real world knowledge of a mythology. Obviously, the cash shop will be a factor for me. I do like turn-based strategy games over real-time strategy games. Well, and this probably is going to hit right in your wheelhouse as long as they get it right. And knowing high res, you're not going to have to know dick about any of the lore to enjoy the game besides what you want to go and look up. So I'm pretty sure you'll be fine on that front. Go ahead, Jason.
All right, Hellsworth says, instead of only my thoughts on Smite Tactics, I'll address the feeling I get about high res and then get to the conclusion about the game at this point. High res for me comes off as a studio that picks something up from Riot, Blizzard, or any other successful things stat-wise and makes their own version of it. So as for Smite Tactics, what comes off for that 2 million plus video is just another duelist version of Smite, probably intended to leech off the mobile market later on.
And I would not be surprised. I mean, high res is in the mobile market already with that Jet whatever title. So I would not be surprised to see this one go mobile at all. That's a good thought, Hellsworth.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach.
Billy Hartley says, question of the week, with the current information, Smite Tactics doesn't do anything new and is pretty much duelist. I have tried 7 card games in 2016, but have never played Smite. I will just skip this one, providing they don't reveal any unique features or they have higher production values.
Noticed a trend with these on a particular game that kept coming up. Sokapek said, question of the week, I have duelist. Thanks, but no thanks. Jason, you're a duelist fan.
No, I'm not.
I'm a duelist fan.
Apparently, Sokapex would like it more if it was buggier.
Yeah, Sokapex would love... I would love Smite Tactics if it was not in my native language, and if the controllers didn't work, and in fact, if it just turned your monitor black. That'd be great. It'd be the best game ever. Go ahead, Jason.
Poor Sokapex. James Esparza says, hi, Rez, you got me hooked on Smite. Now I'm also hooked on Paladins, but did you really have to put all the characters I suck at in Smite in Tactics? Either or I will probably give it a try, but I doubt that'll pull me away from my other card game.
People get their own card games. Mine's Gwent. Go ahead, Zach.
Kinetic Fetus says, question of the week. I don't like strategy games or CCGs. The thought of playing a game that has elements of both makes me want to chug a glass of bleach.
Ooh.
Good reception, High Res. Good reception.
Slash Coon says, question of the week, me think. Meh.
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 Meh. meh.
That pretty much sums up all our thoughts about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, we were all on par with most of them. They were just like, okay, whatever. I know what I want this announcement to be, but I also know I'm smart enough to realize it's not going to be that. So
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
all right, question of the week this week. What's been your favorite free-to-play cast moment or news story or something over the last 200 episodes? And if you're newer to the show, maybe let us know instead what you'd like us to do or change just to keep the show fresh so we can roll on for another 200 episodes. It's all about the viewers, so if we ain't doing what you like, then we ain't doing it right. So let us know in the comments below your favorite moments or the things you'd like us to do to update it. Until next time, 200 episodes. It's been a pleasure. Jason, where can everybody find you?
Find me on Twitter at WinterInformal. Find me streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter. And in case you're wondering, I have pooped recently.
Nice. Good. Zach?
You can find me on Twitter at Zach Sharps, and I will be probably streaming Revelation Online.
I thought he was going to say I'd probably be pooping in about 15 minutes after this show because I had Burger King for lunch before we started, and it's killing me right now. I got bubble gut. Sorry, Zach. Where can everybody find you?
Twitter at Zach Sharps. Revelation Online stream next couple days. I will not be streaming the other thing.
You pooping. Because that might reveal whether or not you have legs. So we gotta
Exactly.
keep that.
The mystery must live on.
I don't know if I'm gonna do a Revelation Online first look in this closed beta test. Jason, maybe you and I could chat about that, but I'll definitely be playing it. So if you want to, come on over to the stream, check it out. My name's Mike Byrne. You can follow me on Twitter at magicman1, at MAGICKMANN1, or of course at mmobomb.com. Come on over to the site, check everything out. Thanks for 200. See you on the servers.